Welcome to the COMiXcon forecast. Here's your place to find out information about upcoming comic book industry events, hosted by Mr. Anderson. For all of the amazing conventions and actual events from the comic book industry listed on this show, go to comicadvocates.com for more details. And here we go. As you guys can see, we have a list of TikToks. For some reason, this isn't playing the actual music, which is fine. Because believe it or not, I'm here today. I am Mr. Anderson. Let me roll my intro, and we're going to go over this live for the first time in a long time. And I'm going to explain something new that I want you guys to pay attention to. So let's find out who I am, and we'll get right back to it. Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the indie comics devil who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish, monsters, and more. He is the giver of free hugs and spanks, and he is a partner in Continual Comics. Check out everything Anderson at chainlinks.site. Guys, so you can join us on TikTok. Mr. Anderson I should say, my own TikTok, and of course Comic Book Advocates does, but I'm so close to 1,000. So when I hit 1,000, I'm going to promote Comic Book Advocates, but do live on the show things like backer pause in this forecast to help bring awareness. Speaking of awareness, let's get into who we got going on this week. We're going to talk about the Twitter. We'll get right back to that. Stay tuned for that. But right now, let's talk about this week. That's week 4, the last week of January. We're already heading into February. This is for January 24th through the 30th. And first, we have the Annandale VA Sheriff Promotions Comic Book Show. It's the monthly show. That's going to be on the 29th. And it's going to be a non-sports card show. That's going to be at the Annabelle Fire Station in Virginia, Annabelle. Also coming up, and these are brought to us, by the way, in association with ConventionScene.com. A great way to help plan your actual Comic-Con season if you're a creator, and if you're a fan, find out what's closest to you. All right, coming next weekend on the Comic-Con forecast. I don't know why it says next weekend. Oh, it's probably because we had this earlier. Either way, it's this weekend now. On the 30th, we have Atlanta, Georgia's Comic-Con convention. That's going to be at the Atlanta Marriott Northeast in the Emory area. If you guys have done Dragon Con, you should know where that is. If you haven't, it's a nice place. Go to Georgia, check it out, and see if you like the area. Because if you like the area, you might be able to check out Dragon Con, which is going to happen this year, I'm pretty sure. And then we're now featuring local comic book shops, and I'm going to explain that in just a second. But right now, we're going to talk about Comic Town in Columbus, Ohio, the biggest wall of comics, including indie creators, I've ever seen, says Fish Lee. So we have to trust that he's a great creator. So what are we doing this year? We are featuring at least one comic book store a week. What shops do you want to see featured? Link them and tell us all. And this is a gateway right here to my Facebook list, which you can see and will pop up right here. And you can actually add your own local comic book shop. This is a way to feature them. Here we go. Fish Lee can actually attest for this. So, and then for next week, just again, we're going to be we have extended and really extended forecast. But for next week, if you're going to be in California, it's going to be a good week, as there's going to be in Concord a East Bay Comic Con, and Simi Valley will have the Simi Valley Toy and Fan Fest, and in New Jersey, the GSCF returns. All right, so normally at this point, I would tell you all that that's the end for now. We'll see you next week when we're talking about Comic-Cons. We're just going to take a few extra minutes to talk about some things. And so what are those things? Well, we've been using Twitter a lot more. One of the reasons we're using Twitter a lot more is, if you notice, these things seamlessly integrate, has all the information. But remember when I told you about the local comic book shops? Well, that was from Facebook. And you see, sometimes Facebook doesn't generate great. This is a WordPress thing. It's just about what works best. So with that in mind, we've actually started a thread We want to know your Twitter handle. We're actually going to be showing on our site now an entire, believe it or not, Twitter directory. We're also going to be adding soon to that the TikTok directory of creators, and we'll be adding in an Instagram directory. Now, look at how much we're using Twitter right now. Twitter is now on our main page. You can see all the things that are happening. This is a quick way for me to keep you guys in the loop of what's going on. This Twitter directory, here's how this is going to work. And I'm going to have it on site, but I'm also going to have one in my notepad. And my notes section is going to be able to allow me to quickly tag creators. So if you give me your tag, and of course I know my own tag, so I'm not going to use that, but Mike Seeley, who is actually my business partner, I can never remember who he is on Twitter. And again, we do a lot of this on Twitter just because it's easy to integrate. Instagram is horrible to integrate anything over. So when I go to a show like this weekend coming up, which we didn't mention in the forecast, it's a very local show. It'll make it to next week's forecast, but we're going to have a Fort Myers art show. And I also like to make sure the weather is going to be good before we fully announce it. So when that art show comes up, I'm going to promote it and I'm going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to tag the one and only Mike Seeley in it. And now if I don't know his tag, I can tag him in it. This is going to keep us really speaking for each other and interacting more. And I can tag all the other places that I know, including myself. I should know my own Twitter. Now, I'm going to preach a little bit here. If you're a creator, you should be using your creative handle. You shouldn't be using something like this. And I've told Mike he should really think about changing this over to Mike Seeley Artist, something like that. And I'll continue to bother him about it. But I really do think that your screen names on all of social media should actually be about your name, your brand. Switch it over, make it about you. If you want to make it about like Continuum Comics, which we have, that's great. Make one for that. I do a couple things for Comic Book Advocates, obviously. But when it comes to you, you need to have something so people can tag you in things. On Twitter, you have to have an Instagram at this point. You have to have a Facebook. These are 3 places, and you want to be there. Of course, Facebook's very easy to tag people as they require real names. You get into Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and it just becomes silly. We're creators. We need to build ourselves as the brand. We need to use our own names. I know not everyone's going to like it, but it is true. This is good advice for you guys. Please, please let me know. We have an entire section. And if you don't let me know, it's just going to make it harder for me. Or not even harder for me. It just will make it so I can't tag you in something. If I can't tag you in something, you won't be aware of it. And people can't follow back to your profile. And your profile should just simply have a picture of yourself. Here, we'll go to mine, and I'll show you how I set it up. And this is a suggestion for you. Here we go. I have a place for all my links. It has pictures of me. There you go. So now all my links are there. Talks about Continuum Comics, talks about the creations I make, and suddenly you're on my site. And all these things are going to propagate, hopefully, in a few minutes. And see, this is one of the reasons some of these things are slower than other things. But the Twitter, I use that. You see it just propagates propagate. I think I'm saying the word wrong, but I think you understand what I mean. In other words, it builds its own preview and it shows up in your feed. So pretty excited to have you guys come on the journey with me on social media so I can tag you guys and things. So we are rising together, and it all comes down to being able to interact with you properly on social media. There's a reason we can tag people. Help me help you by advocating, because I am getting busier this year with my own creations. I'm doing Continuum, what I'm doing with Comic Book School. So trust, I'm not going to have the same amount of time to track people down. I love advocating for people. It does make me feel better as a human being. Absolutely love to help people's careers. And I love meeting people who absolutely love what I do. It makes me feel good. So I want to help everyone I can. I want to help Mike Seeley. I want to hit that retweet button also. Because if I know who you are, I'm going to follow you. And I'm going to follow you on, more than likely, the Indie Comics and my personal one. This way I can follow you both ways. And when Kevin Joseph does something like this, I can support Kevin if it's something he's promoting. If it's just something he's talking about, that's another thing. And then I've got all my friends in here. Victor Dandridge is in here. And sometimes I see the retweeted stuff, so that's pretty cool. So I'm done. This is a way I can help you. If you help me help you, we can do something. If not, I just can't donate 2 to 5 minutes trying to track everyone down and asking them to Twitter. No, this year, what you tell me, what you give me is what I'm going to use. But I'm also offering you opportunities to let me know. Ooh, I just found someone I have to follow on this. Pardon me as we follow Mr. Gonzalez. I didn't even know I wasn't following Joey. There we go. I'm going to follow Joey. Okay. We're a little over what I like. I like this show to be 5 minutes, a little bit more today. Check out my chain links by going to, and you can see it was on my thing, chainlinks.site, I believe was the Twitter. And then up here, I put all my Twitters in there. And if I'm doing my job right, it goes back. See chainlinks.site. Keeping everything, getting all the views. This is my suggestion to you all. I appreciate you watching. And as a bonus, and because I am in the middle of crowdfunding, I'm going to play the Cat Dad and Supermom video to take us out. You can find this by going, this amazing project. Well, I think it's amazing. It's about my son. I don't usually put words like that into it, but when it's about my son, you trust I'm going to put words like fantastic, amazing, wonderful, beautiful, because it's about my son. I am going to brag and be a proud papa. So here's a proud papa moment. Check out Cat Dad and Supermom. You can find the campaign by going to catdadandsupermom.com. And we'll see you next week for the next forecast here on the Comic Book Advocate show, where the love of comics comes first. And we're entering our 4th year of doing forecasts and talking about where people are going. So maybe even 5th. I'll have to look that up. We've been doing this a while now, so we'll all buckle up and hit the road this year as we rise together. And speaking of rise together, check out my current campaign on Kickstarter. In the beginning, there were farts that hopefully taught some moral lessons about bullying. And now Team Cat Dad is back. And this time, we're trying to figure out what makes a hero. A story that examines popularity versus heroics while teaching children how real people can inspire heroic tales. The entire creative team is back for this powerful second tale of heroics, and we do have the usual rewards and such. Truly amazing covers, including a limited edition coloring book cover for the first time. But if you're a fan of Cat Dad and Supermom, you know it's about more than rewards. It's about the creator's autistic son Jax and his love for him and the stories he hopes inspires and guides him and hopefully the readers of these tales. It is about the human moments and the ability to entertain and bring the entire family together that matters to us. And a reminder of the power of imagination. I want to thank you for watching this video and hope you take a moment to look over the campaign for Cat Dad and Supermom, What Makes a Hero. And remember, we rise together through kindness. Please go to catdadandsupermom.com for more information about this campaign.